The door doesn't open for the person who is waiting and only prepares after the door opens. It usually opens for the person who's already been preparing in that secret hidden place. If you've been waiting for the door to open, for the sign to be clear, for that moment when you finally feel ready, but if the door is not open and it won't open tomorrow, then I just want to ask you, do you feel prepared? Because that's what this episode is going to be all about, is the importance of preparation. Because I know for so many, you might be feeling this pull, this calling that God has placed on your heart, but you keep telling yourself that you'll just start when the timing is right. But when that opportunity is actually going to show up. But when you have more clarity around what it's supposed to be, then everything's going to magically become aligned, right? And so you might be stuck in this sort of waiting pattern. And this waiting pattern might look like scrolling or researching or praying for confirmation or just really like asking for one more sign, God, one more, while that voice inside keeps whispering like, go, do it, start the thing. And so I'm speaking to this because I just recently had a situation where I did not feel like I actually had prepared, and the opportunity came up and I was a little bit bummed, right? And so this was a big learning lesson for me as someone who has always prepared and always shown up ready to go. This happened and it made me recognize and realize, wow, God's been telling me to prepare and I have been disobedient. So I have to do an episode on this to share my learning lessons from this quote unquote fail. And I'm going to share the story of what happened and the thought process that went through my mind. So that way you can recognize it for yourself if you might be in this situation too. So if you might feel like, okay, God's placed this thing on my heart. I know I need to do it. I know I need to take that next step. But maybe you're wondering like, well, I don't want to like get started because I don't want to like look silly if it doesn't actually happen. Or maybe if I start preparing, like what will people think about me, right? What if it never happens? What if I totally waste my time on the wrong thing and preparing? So the issue with all of this, the most painful part of it, is that deep down, you're using waiting for the right time as this shield against fear, right? Because there's actually a huge fear that is there around what would that actually look like and what would this actually do to my life if I was to step into what God fully showed me. Here's what I do know is that most of the time, the door doesn't open for the person who is waiting and only prepares after the door opens. It usually opens for the person who's already been preparing in that secret hidden place. So like I said, my whole life as a performer, as a touring musician, a lot of those opportunities came from moments where I was prepared, I was ready, an opportunity came, and I was able to say yes, be bold and courageous, and show up with excellence. And from there, more doors opened and opened and opened. And so that's something I've always like sort of had some pride in, right? But I think in what's been happening for me in the last few years has been this desire, like deep heart desire. Like I want this so bad, but also God has shown me multiple times to start preparing with music and in the musical space and get back into it, because I did take a nice pretty long pause there when I became a mother and stopped performing and all of that. And so even though there weren't shows necessarily, coming to me, I heard God say, like, start preparing, start working on it. And let me tell you, sometimes when you wait so long and you're sort of in that disobedience, the enemy gets in because the enemy recognizes, oh, I have an open door here. And so the enemy comes in and starts saying and speaking all these crazy, crazy lies into our mind. And so I'm going to share some of what those lies are, and I'm going to share some really empowering beliefs that you can actually grasp onto and hold on to, write them down, pray them out, speak them out, because it's really important to take ownership and take territory of your mind, even in these really sensitive places. So basically what happened, the enemy came in, told me all of these lies and filled me up to the point where it was really hard for me to even start playing music again, writing my own music, singing again. And But I kept hearing it, and it was like getting heavier and harder to ignore this calling that God has given me. Here's what happened. So in February, I was at a women's retreat, and we had a very, very impromptu sing along that just kind of came up, and it was a few women singing. And the woman, it was Brooke Thomas at her house. And Brooke said, I think the four of you really should put something together for the June retreat, and we'll put you guys on stage. We're going to do something big. It's going to be amazing. And she's like, I really believe in what you guys could do all together with your voices. And so we're like, absolutely. And so you guys know me, I'm like, okay, let me lead this. I'll gather us. I'll make sure this happens. And then shortly thereafter, I end up getting pregnant. And I got pregnant, and first trimester for mamas out there, it's just a challenge. There's just a lot of things shifting and changing, and hormones and sleep and baby brain and all this stuff is happening. And so I completely dropped the ball, and I actually completely forgot about it up until the June retreat. So I get to the June retreat, and I literally walk into the doors, and the first thing that I feel is this heaviness of like, oh no, I have wavered on my integrity, which is a huge thing for me. I really am someone who wants to do everything I say I'm going to do. And I just felt so guilty and ashamed. And I was like, oh, I hope these women forgive me. Maybe everyone forgot about it. I don't even know, but this was my responsibility. This was given to me. This was that thing God has been telling me to prepare and get ready. And we didn't. And I just felt all of those lies of the enemy come in and really double down on my mind at that point. So I'm going to pause the story before I tell you what ends up happening. But let me go ahead and just read through this list of limiting beliefs that might be going on in your mind if you're in this situation. And what I want you to do is we can name it to tame it, right? I want you to name and figure out which of the limiting beliefs, if not all of them, are you really feeling have kind of come into your mind. And it might even be on like a subconscious space, right? It might not be the thing that is the forefront. You might say, oh yeah, of course I can do this, but you're still not, right? So take a look at your calendar. Has it been on your calendar? Have you actually done it in the last week, in the last month? If not, something is going on deeper, and we want to get to the root of it. So here are some limiting beliefs. So let's start with number one. I can't start preparing until I know exactly what the door looks like or when it will open. Number two, if I begin now, people will think I'm presumptuous or getting ahead of myself. Number three, I need to wait for a clear sign or confirmation before I take any action toward this calling. Number four, preparing before the opportunity arrives, feel like I'm sort of forcing something that isn't really meant for me yet. Number five, I'm not ready enough to start, so I should just wait until I feel more qualified or equipped. Ooh, that's a big one. Watch out for that one. Number six, if God really wanted me to do this, he would have already opened the door already. It would have been easy. But we know that's not the case. That's not the stories in the Bible. It doesn't usually happen while your hands are behind your head and your feet are kicked up, right? Number seven, starting to prepare now feels like I'm being arrogant about something that might never happen. Number eight, I don't want to waste time or energy on something that might not really be the right path. Number nine, if I step into preparation too early, I'll look foolish if that door never opens. And last but not least, number 10, I need permission from someone or something else externally before I can begin moving forward on this calling. Now, if any of those resonated, I want you to write them down, and I want you to sit and see when are these beliefs usually coming up? Is it in the morning? Is it at nighttime? Is it when you're tired, right? Notice the patterns of the enemy, because we're going to actually talk about this on the next episode that I end up doing, all around the enemy's strategies, but this is one of them, right? And so you want to figure out what is the strategy that he's using on you here when it comes to preparation on the thing, that one thing that God has called you into doing. So now I'm going to give you some empowering beliefs, and whatever that disempowering one is, make sure you cross it out or write the empowering one on a new piece of paper. This is what I want you to claim and share it with the world, share it with others, speak it out loud in the mirror even, say it in your prayer space. So that way you can really get it on the tip and top of your tongue so it becomes the forefront. And this is how you do take dominion and take territory in your mind. So number one, preparation is my act of faith that God will open the door he's been showing me. Number two, the fact that I feel called to prepare is the confirmation that I've been waiting for. God is inviting me with him by getting ready before the opportunity arrives. My obedience and preparation is what positions me to walk through the door when it opens. Starting now, even when it feels early, is how I honor the vision God has given me. Preparation is not presumptuous. It's the practical expression of trust in what God has already spoken. Number 7, the door will open at the exact moment I'm ready because I choose to prepare in advance. Number 8, my willingness to prepare before I see the result is the evidence of my faith in action. Number 9, God wouldn't give me the vision without also giving me the time to become who I need to be. Okay, that's a big one, giving me the time. The enemy does love to keep us busy, right? Number 10, every step I take in preparation is building the version of me who will walk through that door with confidence. Because sometimes it also isn't about that end destination. It's not about the thing that we actually think we're preparing for. So for me, sometimes it is that show, right? And if I have a show on the books, if I know it's happening, it's a lot easier to prepare. But again, God doesn't call us down the easy road. He calls us down the straight and narrow path. And that road sometimes looks like faith. Let's be real, all the time, basically, it ends up looking like faith. But that means that end destination, I might be guided towards it, but I might not know what that end destination is. And in fact, I might limit it to what God's full, amazing, glorious plan is on my life. But if I start walking in that direction, I can know and I can have trust and faith that I will become that woman that he is calling me to for the purpose that he has for me on the end and on the other side. Okay, so grab those empowering beliefs that really resonate with you, start speaking them out, start declaring them over your life and over your mind, all right? If you're loving this conversation and it's sparking something inside of you, maybe it's time to share your own voice with the world. That's exactly why we created the Podcast Accelerator, to help leaders like you go from hidden to heard with a podcast that connects, inspires, and actually grows your business. We launched together in just a few months, and you'll have the system, support, and strategy to keep scaling and growing. Doors are open now, so the link to apply is in the show notes. We cannot wait to see you in there. Here's what happened, kind of back to the story. It was the moment of truth. So I'm sitting there, all of these disempowering beliefs are just running through my head. And of course, don't you know it, Brooke calls on us 10 minutes later, and she goes, "Hey, that quartet, you guys were going to do a song for us. Why don't you come up and sing?" Now, the four of us had never sang together, ever. Like, we did that impromptu thing, but actually there was only 2 of us there. And so we had no idea what we're doing. So we kind of all, in our high heels, like climb up on the stage, and we're looking at each other like, "Okay, we got this, right? You got this." No, like, we're all pointing at the other person. You're going to lead this, right? And we kind of figure out, we choose a song, we figure out who's going to take what harmony-ish, and we do it. And, we got a beautiful applause. In that moment, I think all of us looked and felt like, okay, there's something here. We got to experience the spark of preparation because luckily, in our past, all of us have had experience on stage and singing, right? So there was this anchoring where we went back to the previous past. For some of us, it had been a really long time, actually, even years since we had sang on stage. But we went back to those past moments, and we grabbed onto that preparation that we did a long time ago and we brought it forward. But we also knew that we didn't show up with the excellence that we could have, the potential of what this quartet could have been. And that was really the shift. That was when I recognized and realized I had been living out a pattern that was so different than the old me who was a performer, was prepared and ready at all times. And that's why I was able to step on so many big stages in front of 10,000 people within a week's notice, ready and prepared because I was there. Now, I had let the enemy come in that time where I had not listened, in that time of disobedience. And I really feel like the longer that disobedience happens, the longer the enemy has time to like lay its roots on the authority of that territory, right? And so it had been this amount of time, and it just hit me. I got to get prepared. I got to start working on this, right? And so here's where the grace of God always comes in, and I just love how this happened in this specific story. But again, like, people weren't crying. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad. And Brooke said, "Why don't you guys prep something? Why don't you prep a song? And we have a big stage for our final soiree party. And why don't you guys perform there?" And it was in that moment we were able to say yes. Now, I do want to recognize the courage that it took for all of us to step up on that stage in our high heels without ever singing before and just do it, right? And either way, whether you are prepared or not prepared, there is a moment where you have that opportunity to step into the opportunity or to shrink back, right? And you can shrink back because you're not ready, or you can shrink back just purely out of fear. So it's always better to just go for it, right? There's always going to be a lesson that you can learn and really like fully grasp if you just go for it. That's my school of thought. Obviously, unless God's saying don't. But it was just so cool because we got to spend the next few days rehearsing and practicing, and we chose the song and we chose our harmonies. And even in that journey, one of the favorite parts of us preparing for that final stage party where we got to sing. We were in the pool one day and we were all singing our song, and it was like, hallelujah, glory to God. And these two younger women, we were there for a female business entrepreneur event. These two young women in their early 20s swam over to us like two little mermaids, and they're like, "Do you guys follow Christ? Like, what are you singing? We like, that sounds so beautiful." And we're like, "Yeah." And we end up talking. They're new young entrepreneurs, and we got to pour into them and inspire them and talk about what we were all doing and why we were there. And you could just see their faces get lit up, and they were telling us about their businesses, and we gave them cute little hats, and it was such an amazing moment. And I thought, wow, God asked us to prepare, maybe not only for the stage moment, which I'll talk about in a second, but for the moments that happened during the preparation, that way that we were able to testify and pour into these younger girls, right? And it was all because we were in the pool practicing. So fast forward, we get to the performance and we rocked it. We showed up there with excellence, and there were tears streaming down the women's faces. Everyone had their cameras out. Everyone wanted to document it, and we got the best feedback from there. And that's really what it's about. And it's not just for our own performance sake. It was really that's how we got to glorify God. That's how we got to give this gift that we've all been given of song and music and worship, and we got to give it back to him in such a holy and magnificent way, not just an everyday way, but in a way where we had prepared and planned and poured into creating the glory of God in this one moment. And so I really walked away from that whole event just being heavily convicted around my own preparation and just the importance of it, and really just reminding myself, all of these lies of the enemy, we got to clear out because we never know when that next opportunity is going to come up. The one thing I want to name is just, if you keep waiting, say you get inspired by this, but you don't actually take action, then you're going to end up spending your life watching other people take their opportunity, watching them come into the room and getting on the stage that you were actually called to do, but you didn't show up, so someone else had to fill in. So that can happen simply because they were ready and you weren't. And so that might feel like a little bit of hard truth, but I just want to share that out of love and stewardship of this lesson and this wisdom that God has given us. If you might be thinking this like myth, this lie. If God really wanted me to do this, he would have opened that door already, right? But God is actually also waiting for you to become that perfect person, that the part of you who can really steward what he's about to give you. So again, the delay is not rejection. It's really just development. So there is a cost of staying stuck in the waiting mode. And it's you missing the divine timing. But we also haven't talked about the other side of it, because just like how moving it was for us to stand on stage and do that, there were so many women that experienced our song that night, our worship, and were so moved by it and had their own experience. And so imagine if you keep waiting, like if we waited and we didn't take that opportunity, we didn't say yes, we didn't prepare for it. Maybe there's all those other women in the room. There were like around 100 women in the room. Maybe all of them wouldn't have had that experience that they got to have with the Lord because of my own disobedience. So the cost is actually so much greater than you just missing your own divine timing. It's more that God has a plan for who you are meant to reach out to and who you are meant to touch with your obedience. And if you don't do that, then there's a huge miss there, okay? Really, if there's any other last thing around like feeling foolish around preparing too early or any of that, the last thing I want to say about it is, who are you really worshiping? Are you worshiping man and man's opinion of you, or God and God's opinion of you, right? So preparation is the practical expression of faith. This is what I want you to leave with today. Stop searching for how do I trust him, and just start taking action. That is trust lived out. And when God gives you a vision, he's inviting you to just partner with him, become that person that can carry it. So your obedience in that space, it might be unseen in the way that opportunities come. You have to stay diligent and stay with yourself until that next step comes forward. I want to empower you to just take one action today. I want you to write down the one skill, that one piece of knowledge, or that one area of growth that the future version of you, the one that is, just totally walking in her calling, what would she have already done? What would she have prepared for? And I want you to take that one small action towards building that today. So sign up for the course, start the practice, do that research, write that first page, record that first video, whatever that is. Stop waiting for the door and start becoming that person that is ready to walk through it. Okay. So if you do need help identifying any of this or taking that next step, I want to just share and shout out our free AI school community. Now, Sammy and I have been doing a lot of consulting on AI, and it's one of the coolest things when you pair it with Holy Spirit obedience, because God can give you a vision, give you some direction, and then you can actually make it happen so fast with the support of the tools from AI. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and go check out our school community. It's going to be in the show notes below, but that's a place if you have anything that is about, getting yourself out there, being online, building your business, building your mission. We're happy to support you and help you on that journey. So the truth that I want you to walk away with today is just the fact that you are called to prepare, right? That is the confirmation that you've been waiting for. This is it. Let this episode be it. God wouldn't give you a vision without also giving you the time and all the resources that you need to prepare. So just take a look around, take inventory, use what you already got, and time as well. If you don't have an hour, you got 10 minutes. If you don't have 10 minutes, you got 5, right? But stop waiting for any permission slip from anyone else, anyone external, and just start stepping into that calling. Start preparing for that door that God is about to open for you, because your obedience in the unseen is what makes you unstoppable in what everyone else gets to see. So this is your moment. This is your miracle moment. Let it become that, and your destiny will get to start with what you choose today. Thanks for listening to Miracle Moment. Share the episode, hit follow, and join us every Thursday for prayer and activation. For more tools to rise into your God-given mission, visit rayireland.com. See you next week.